Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. And in election news here in the United States, as well as some other places, China is going to disrupt the US elections with artificial intelligence. Now, that's according to Microsoft, and here's what's going on. This is a very interesting article from Dan Milmo of The Guardian, and honestly, this shouldn't be surprising to anybody, but here's what's up. China is going to attempt to disrupt the elections in the United States, South Korea, and India this year with AI-generated content after essentially making a dry run in the presidential polling in Taiwan. Now, this is according to Microsoft. Microsoft said that it expected Chinese state-backed cyber groups to target high-profile elections in 2024, with North Korea also involved, according to a report from Microsoft's threat intelligence team published this past Friday. Quote, as the populations in India, South Korea, and the United States head to the polls, we are likely to see Chinese cyber and influence actors, and to some extent North Korea cyber actors, work towards targeting these elections. And Microsoft also said that at a minimum, China would create and distribute through social media AI-generated content that, quote, benefits their positions in these high-profile elections, end quote. Microsoft also added that the impact of AI-made content was going to be minor coming out of China, but warned that that could change. And I'll talk about that in a second. And I quote, while the impact of such content in swaying audiences remains low, China's increasing experimentation in augmenting memes, videos, and audio will continue and prove more effective down the line. Now, Microsoft also said that in the report that China had already attempted an AI-generated disinformation campaign in Taiwan's presidential election this past January. They said that this is the first time they had seen a state-backed entity use AI-made content in a bid to influence a foreign election. The Beijing-backed group known as Storm 1376, aka Spamiflage, which is a great name for the record, I've got to admit, I'm not a fan of them, but Spamiflage is a great label for this, also known as Dragon Bridge, was highly active during the Taiwanese election, and its attempts to influence the election included posting fake audio on YouTube of the election candidate Terry Gao, who had bowed out in November, endorsing another candidate. Microsoft also said that the clip was, quote-unquote, likely AI-generated. YouTube removed the content before it reached many users. Now, the Beijing-backed group pushed a series of AI-generated memes about the ultimately successful candidate, William Lai, a pro-sovereignty candidate who opposes China, and they basically leveled baseless claims against Mr. Lai, accusing him of embezzling Taiwanese state funds. There's also an increased use of AI-generated TV news anchors, a tactic that has also been used in Iran, with the quote-unquote anchor making unsubstantiated claims about Lai's private life, including fathering illegitimate children. Microsoft said the news anchors were created by the CapCut tool, which is developed by Chinese company ByteDance, owner of TikTok. Microsoft also said, as they've said a lot in this report, that Chinese groups continue to mount influence campaigns in the United States. Beijing-backed actors are using social media accounts to pose quote-unquote divisive questions, end quote, and attempt to understand issues dividing U.S. voters. And so here's the thing. We know that Russian intelligence has been absolutely fantastic about this, but they've had a leg up on essentially China. Even coming from the Soviet Union, they had an excellent American influence program, and by virtue of that, those former KGB officers that are now sitting in the current Russian intelligence, FSB, GRU, et cetera, understand the United States in a way that Beijing just simply hasn't. But these attempts will continue to be made. And when you're looking at, basically platforms that are being used like CapCut, which is made by ByteDance, who owns TikTok, you can see how these influence campaigns are going to be generated. They will be put out on TikTok, essentially influence. This is why, essentially, the U.S. Congress is looking to essentially kill these, or have it at least sold off and moved to an American company, so these influence campaigns can't really go through TikTok, the most popular platform for the youth these days. Now, that said, there's no reason why Like the Russians, they couldn't leverage Facebook, who has cut their safety and trust teams, Twitter, who has cut their safety and trust teams. And so we're going to have a huge problem with foreign disinformation. Artificial intelligence and deep fakes, I think, are going to run rampant. I'm already doing an article series called Disinformation Depot on this. This is an utter mess. And so basically what's happening here is what we are going to be seeing in this election and in the future. They're going to leverage our free open platforms like the Facebooks of the world to get to us. And they're going to continue to do so. And the interesting part about intelligence agencies, especially the one in Beijing, for example, that's doing this, Spamouflage, again, great name, is that they're going to learn from their mistakes. They're going to improve. And as artificial intelligence improves, things like fake audio and video, they're going to continue to improve their offerings for fake audio and video to make it more plausible. Now, that said, we all have confirmation bias, meaning if they put out something negative, let's say against Joe Biden, the current president of the United States, those who just absolutely hate Joe Biden are going to see those videos. They're going to say, oh, that looks real. I believe it's actually Biden doing that negative thing. Same on the other side with Trump. So this is going to be a huge issue, and we're going to see what happens here. But quite frankly, we're going to be in for a really rough ride. We've been talking about it for months, if not years at this point, and it's going to be a huge problem. So China's stepping up the game. Russia continues to step up the game, and other intelligence agencies around the world that are trying to take us down a peg essentially are going to continue this overarchingly stress test that we are seeing of the United States. And hopefully we're resilient enough. We're honestly about to find out. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, just please, attempt to stay private and also attempt to stay informed. And please recognize your confirmation bias and fight it. Take care.